he's a state trooper.
State the trooper?
Trooper.
Okay.
And he's bullet holes in the
okay.
And there's blood on the car.
On the license plate, what does it say on the car that got shot?
1197 WST.
Well, it's been a pretty eventful year since last September. As you all know, I was critically injured last September. Since then, there's been a lot of good going on. In March, I had what should have been my last surgery. They fixed my palate up, and they also did a little cheek filler, so that way my sinus would be protected for the future. That was kind of their one concern, is from the initial surgery, that my sinus was very exposed. So any kind of traumatic thing that would happen to my cheek, even the slightest cut, would have caused like serious issues in the sinus. So that surgery went phenomenal, higher than they even expected. So it was kind of comical. I went for a follow-up visit, and they left the room and they were like high-fiving, and all the doctors were cheering and like congratulating themselves. And they came back in. I was like, well, I thought you told me this was like simple. And they kind of were like, no, it's actually like one of the hardest places we could do a plastic surgery because of all your nerves. So we're pretty proud of that, but we didn't want to freak you out. So had that in late March, on March 22nd. And like I said, that should be the last surgery I should have regarding to at least this incident. Around that, I had a lot of goals set in mind that people were asking me, as well as doctors and family and friends, like what I want to do to get better. My two biggest things were to be able to golf again, as well as ski in the winter. Those are two big things that my wife and I enjoyed doing. So in the wintertime, I think we waited till about January or February before we actually tried the mountain. And we were able to do it. My hand with the new amputation was really cold, so I was battling that process, but overall it was kind of one of those check mark things like, hey, I can still do this. Once the weather cleared up finally, I was hesitant to start golfing just because my grip wasn't quite there yet. But we pretty much just said, let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? Tried it. And since then I've been playing in a couple charity events, some tournaments and whatnot, just getting out with the people I normally golf with. The golf is coming together, not as good as it used to be, which is rough to say, but now it's more enjoyable because it's something that I thought I couldn't do. And now that I'm able to do it, it's a lot more rewarding to play, and it's a lot more fun than it kind of even used to be. Early to mid-June, I was brought on as in a light duty capacity, which has been fun. I was assigned alongside CID, as well as taking care of the stuff I got to take care of to get back to work. I learned a lot through CID, even just simple investigative process that you don't think about necessarily on the road, or even the follow-up that happens as like a patrol officer. All the stuff they do behind the scenes, and you don't always get filled in on until it's all done and you see, the charges in the headline or whatever it might be. So it was kind of cool learning the full background rather than the on-scene work. I'm very thankful that they took me on and taught me some things. I'm still working alongside them currently until I do get back on the road. But the last few months working alongside them was pretty special, and I don't think a lot of guys really get that in-depth opportunity to do a lot of full cross-training with them. So I'm very fortunate that they were able to, wanted me to come on and allowed me to be a part of it and learn a little bit. A little after that, my wife and we got married on July 22nd down in Walla Walla. And that was kind of just the staple day. When I woke up and came to, some people are asking me, hey, is the wedding still on? And my one goal is, yeah, I'm still here. Why wouldn't we do the wedding, essentially? And I think it was early enough on where people didn't know where my recovery would be, surgeries and whatnot. So we were able to make that happen, and it was the greatest day of my life, just being there on many levels. We invited some people that were involved in my incident, a couple nurses and medical staff. So it was kind of other than just my wife and I's day, we took our own photo with all the medical personnel that took care of me that night. And it was kind of our own little moment that we had during the wedding day, kind of brought it full circle that, hey, we're okay now. Currently, my return date is still kind of up in the air. The National Guard called me and said I needed to come make up some time that I missed with all of this. So I'm doing that until the end of September. From then, I have a couple check mark items going back through CTW and a couple admin stuff that might pop up here and there. I'm hoping that I can return to full duty sometime early October, if not maybe the middle of October by the latest. my captain. He's been in full support and not necessarily forcing me, but he is encouraging me and providing me a lot of support and just overall confidence, building me up to allow me to feel confident getting back into the patrol car whenever that day comes. From then, I'll be doing a small FTO, just riding passenger, whatever I feel comfortable with. I've been urged to take it slow, even though I am very anxious to get back into the car and excited to reach that next level of normal that we've been trying to achieve within the last year. And once that's done, hopefully that'll be it, and pray that an incident like this doesn't happen again to me, let alone anybody else. But just knowing that the state patrol up and down the chain of command, from even patrol all the way up to the chief, they've all been incredibly supportive and very excited to hear about my updates, whether it's something silly like, hey, I just went to the doctor and she gave me a gold star for my efforts in the last month. They something simple like that, they love to hear it, and they're just wanting to be in the loop and trying to figure out what's the best way to navigate me getting to full duty. So a lot of you have seen on social media my Always Come Home tattoo. That was kind of the motto I decided I wanted to go about my life as law enforcement. It was shortly after I got off probation because I wanted to be sure I was in the clear and not getting fired right after I got that tattoo. And it's just kind of the motto I lived by, just making sure whatever I do at work, whatever's going on, is to make sure my goal is to get home at night. And I place it on my weapon hand for that sole purpose of, heaven forbid something would happen like that, to make sure that's my reminder to get home. And it's my dominant arm, everything I do, driving and all that. So just making sure that that's the one goal at the end of the day. I did do an addition in the winter. I decided to make a I Come Home tattoo with the date kind of shadowed in the background. Just kind of as a reminder, like, hey, you're strong enough. I mean, my original tattoo has enough strength behind it, but this one kind of just reminds me that even on the worst of days, like, you're able to come home from it.